Hey everyone, welcome back to new series of Python. In today's video, we will discuss about what is a Python function. A function in Python is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. It takes input values, that is the arguments, and returns an output value, that is the result. So the idea is to put some commonly or repeatedly done tasks together and make a function so that instead of writing the same code again and again for different input, we can do the function calls to reuse the code contained in it over and over again. So there are some benefits for using these functions. It increases the code readability and code reusability. So to declare a function, you can find the syntax over here. We have to use the keyword def. Later on, you can provide the function name and parameter. Later on, you can provide the statement and return expression. So there are different types of functions in Python, and that are built-in library functions and user-defined function. So built-in library functions are the standard functions in Python that are available to use. And user-defined function is a function create our own functionalities based on our own requirements. Now let's see how can we create a function in Python. So we can define a function in Python using the keyword def, and we can add any type of functionalities and properties to it as we require. So by following the example, we can understand how to write a function in Python, and this way we can create a function definition by using the def keyword. So I'm going to create a function. So in order to create a function, we know we have to use the keyword def over here. Later on, we have to provide the name of the function. So I'm going to provide the name of the function as company, and to complete the syntax, we have to use the round bracket along with it should be completed using a colon over here. Now we just need to provide the statement. So I'm going to provide the statement over here. Print, welcome to Cybrosys. Now let's try to run this file. So as we just try to run this file, here you can see that we haven't got the result. This is because here we have just created a function in Python, but we haven't called the function. Now let's see how can we call a function. To call a function, I'll be using the same example itself, and let's call the function. So here you can see that the name of the function is company. So to call the function, you can simply provide the function name over there. Okay, so I'm going to call the function over here. So you can see company is the name of the function. So I'm going to call that. So as I just run the file here, you can see that I have just got the result over here. Okay. Now let's see how can we use the Python functions with parameters. Okay. So if you have experience in C, C++ or Java, then you must be thinking about the return type of the function and data types of the arguments. And this is possible in case of Python as well, specifically for Python 3.5 and above. Now here you can find the syntax over here. That is, you can provide the def keyword and function name, then use a parameter with the data type and return the type over there. Then you can provide the body of the function and use the return expression. So parameters are nothing but a parameter in a function is a variable that receives a value when a function is called. Okay, so it actually acts as a placeholder for the actual data that will be used within the function's code. Now let's define this with the example. Okay, now I want to greet a person with a message. So we can create a function for this. So basically we know in order to define a function, we have to use the def keyword and we have to provide the name of the function. So I'm going to use the name of the function as great. And we know we can use the round bracket to complete the function, and a function is actually completed using a colon over here. Now here we have to consider that we just want to greet a person with a message, right? So I just want to store the name of the person in the parameter. So I'll be using a parameter name over here, and I'll be using the other parameter as greeting, into which the message will be storing. So here we can see that we have multiple parameters, and if we have multiple parameters, we can just separate it with comma. Now, the next step is that we just want to pass the arguments into this, okay? To pass the arguments, first we have to call the function. We know to call the function, we have to use the function name over here. And under the function name, we can see that we can just pass the arguments. So arguments are the values, and these values will be actually stored in the parameters. So here I just want to pass the string types. So I just need to define it in the double quotes. So name of the person is actually Alice, and you can see I have just given over there. And we just need to greet Alice with a particular message. So I just want to greet her with hello. And here you can see we have just given that. Now, let me run this file. Here you can see that we have just got something error over here. This is because of indentation, that is expected and intended block after function definition on line. So as we just learned about the function syntax, we know here we have just missed something. That is nothing. We have to use a print statement because we just need to get the result in the console, right? So we have to use the print statement, and here you can provide the variable name over here, or that is the object name. Basically, we can say that are the parameters, because into the parameters we will be storing the results or the values, right? So I'm going to give the parameter over here, and you can just separate it by comma and provide the other parameter, that is the name, okay? And now let me run the file, and here you can see that we have just got the result as hello Alice. See, here when we just pass the parameter, we have provided it like name, comma, greeting, right? But when we just go with the print statement, we have just provided the greeting first and later on the name. So it will be taking the result accordingly how the parameters is passed inside the print function, okay? So this is how we just use the parameters with a function. Now let's define this with the other example, okay? So here I'm going to define this with the other example, like I just want to add two numbers by setting the data type and all. So here you can see that we have just defined a syntax like using the def function as the keyword to define a function and provide the function name, and you can use a parameter by specifying the int or the data type. So if you are just using 5 as the number, or you're just providing the parameter that is num1, and you can just define the type that is int, and you can also actually return that type also. So let's see how can we manage this function with the parameters with other example. So I'm going to choose two numbers, and by adding them, I just need to get the result and return that result. So you can see that in order to define a function, you can use the def keyword, and I'll be providing the name of the function as add, and I'll be using two parameters over here to store the number 1 and number 2. So those are the two values, and by adding that, I just need to get the result. And I will be using the name of the parameter as num1, that is the parameter, and the type of the parameter is basically int. So you can provide likewise, and you can just separate this with the comma, and let's say num2, and it has got the type as int, and we just need to actually return this int, okay? So in order to return the int type, you can give the syntax like this. And let's end this with the colon. Now here we want to add two numbers, and we just need to store this somewhere, right? So I'm going to use num3 as the variable, or you can say that answer, okay? Into the answer, we will be storing num1 plus num2. So those are the parameters into which we want to store the result. So once the result are stored, we just need to get the result, and we just need to return that result, right? So I'll be using the return type over here to return the result. So here you can see ans is the variable name into which we will be storing the result. Okay. So I have given likewise, and the user just need to input the answers. Okay. So as the user just need to input the number 1 and number 2. Here you can see num1 is equal to, you can use the input function, and let's say enter num1. Now let me copy this, and yeah, you can paste over here, and let me change the uh, variable name over here as num2, and let's say enter num2. Okay, so we have provided that, and we have to store the result somewhere, which means we just need to do the addition and store the result, right? So into the variable and we want to set the result. So here we are just going to perform the addition. So you can call the function over here. So here you can see that currently we have called the function. So while calling the function, we have to pass the arguments. So the arguments are num1, comma, num2. Or you can directly pass the arguments, okay? So if you would like to pass the numbers directly, you can actually pass that. For the time being, the user just need to provide the input. That's why I'm using this statement, like num1 equal to input enter number 1 and num2 equal to input enter num2. Okay, so once everything is set, we just need to get the result. Okay, so to get the result, we have to use a print function, and you can say that we have just currently stored the result in ans. Okay, so I'll be just running this file, and here you can see first we have to enter num1. So I'm going to enter num1 over here, and let me enter the other number, that is num2. So here you can see we have just got the result as 12. So something has happened over here. So here you can see that as we use just input functions, we know the input will be taken as string. So currently this input is treated as a string. So as we just try to add two strings, concatenations will be happening over there. And here we have just entered one of the number as 1 and the other number as 2. And as we just try to add those numbers, here concatenation has happened, and we just got the result as 12. So in order to convert this into integer, we have to basically use the int constructor. Then only we can say that we are just entering or inputting the integer numbers or the numbers with a specific format, okay, or type. So I just want to input the integers over here and want to just perform the addition. Now let me just again run the file, and let me run the file over here, and let me enter the number as 1 and the other number as 2. Okay. Now again let me click on enter to get the answer. So here you can see that we have just got the result as 3 over here. Okay, so this is how we just use the Python functions with parameters. Now here we just gonna discuss about the Python functions with argument. So an argument is the actual value that is passed to a function when it is called, and it replaces the corresponding parameter in a function's body. Here we are just going to check the given number is even or odd using the function. So first we just need to define the function. To define the function, we have to use the def keyword, and you can provide the name of the function, that is even, odd, and we have to pass the argument. So the argument is x, into which we will be storing the result. Okay, and now we have to go with the condition, that is we are just going to check that if x mod 2 is equal to 0, then we can say that it will be the even number, else it will be odd number. So here you can see that we are just providing the condition x mod 2 is equal to 0, then we can say it will be even. So you can provide the print function. So we have already discussed about how to check the even number and odd number and all with the previous examples and all. So if you don't know the concept of even odd, you can just refer that video. Okay. So here we can say that the given number is even, and we have an else case that if the given number is not equal to 0, then we can say that odd number. So I'll be printing odd number over here. And now here we have provided the condition. Now the next step is that we just need to call the function over here, and we also just need to pass the argument. So I'm going to call the function. Here we know the name of the function is even odd, and we're just going to pass the argument. So argument is nothing but that is the value we are just going to pass into the parameter. So I'm going to give the argument as 5. So into the parameter it will be storing, and currently we can say that the x has got the value 5, and when 5 moved to is equal to, it won't be equal to 0, so you will get the result as odd number over here. Now let me rent the file over here. You can see that we have just got the result as odd number, but we can also just get the numbers from the user. So okay, so you can use a variable over here x, into which we will be allowing the user to store the value or assign the value. So I just want to input the integer numbers. So I'll be using the int constructor. Later on, we'll be using the input function to get the input from the users. So enter the number over here, and you can basically pass the variable name over here as the argument. So I'm going to pass over here as the variable name as the argument. So here you can see that I'm going to give the number as 10 over here. So as I just ran this, here we will be providing number, and while clicking on enter, you can see that the given number is even. Now let me again print this file and change the value and let it be 9. And here you can see that as we set the value as 9 and click on enter, you will get it as odd, because we know when 9 more 2 is not equal to 0, then it gives as the result as odd number. And we know in previous case 10 mod 2 is equal to 0, which means you will get the remainder as 0. Then we can say that it's a even number. So this is how we just deal with the Python functions with arguments and all. So in next video, we will talk about types of function arguments. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching the video.